and welcome back to Random Librarian on YouTube. This is a channel where I tend to talk about book things. I've been on kind of a librarian kick lately, so hopefully I'll get some more actual physical reviews up for you guys soon if that's what you're here for. If you're here for the librarian things, let me know down below. I don't really know if there's an audience for it, but as it is what I live every day, that's kind of been what I've been talking about. I am setting a fun challenge for myself today and seeing how much of this video I can film before my camera dies, because I don't know where my charger is. So let's get right into it. This video is about how to start reading in a second language. I have a little bit of a background in this. Just to give a little bit of context, I am a librarian in a language other than my native tongue, so other than English. I was lucky enough to attend a school in my public school system that does this sort of immersion style language acquisition. You walk into first grade the first day, the teacher speaks the language to you until you understand it, and then you start learning things like math and science and even reading and other kind of general first grade stuff. In French in my case, before you ever even start learning in English. So it's kind of a weird thing, but it is the greatest gift that I think my parents ever gave me. It became this huge passion in my life that I've been lucky enough to meld with my other passion and turn it into kind of a mishmash of everything that I've loved in my life, and that I work as a librarian in French, and it's great. So I get this huge joy every day in being able to help people discover a love of reading, either in a second language or in a language that it's kind of hard to find those books that really spark joy in maybe a different setting, like online or in your public library. Basically, I just want to help people find books in that other language that makes them want to pick up another one and another one and another one ad infinitum. I stopped Latin after like a semester, so correct me please in the comments. That's kind of my background for this. That's why I feel qualified to speak on it. And yeah, here are my kind of first instincts if I'm talking to someone and trying to help them find something to inspire that love of reading and to help them move to the next step in their language acquisition. First things first, it is really helpful to know your level of language. There are different standardized systems. I know in French it's kind of like A1 is beginners, and then it goes like A2, B1, B2, C, blah, 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 and then kind of like a generalized novel base. So after kind of the B level, we start steering people towards novels that might have more accessible language or that are written with more simple verb tenses, but if we're starting at like the lower end of the thing, it is good to know your level so that people like librarians can help you find something that you'll enjoy that is written specifically for your level of language. If you know your level and you know the system that is being used, like the standardized A or other kind of system, then it is easy to find like easy readers, which are those books that are written specifically for that level in French. And these can be really helpful because a lot of them come with audio CDs, so you can work both on your audio comprehension and your reading comprehension at the same time with the same story, which is pretty helpful. So these easy readers I think can be a really great first step. And to build on that, I always recommend starting with stories, even within the easy readers that you have access to. Stories that you would enjoy in your first language. So if you're a big fan of crime novels, finding an easy reader that is written about kind of like a detective or about a mystery. So that kind of thing, if you enjoy what you're reading, it is much easier to kind of get lost in the story and like accidentally pick up vocab. I've actually bumped into this like pretty often, that learners will underestimate their own level of comprehension, and as a result they'll kind of bore themselves with picture books that are much too simple. More complicated picture books and even kind of fairy tales that you know in your own language but have been rewritten for children and teens in the language that you're learning can actually be super helpful, and they can be really engaging. But starting with like the ones for babies and like board books is really, I think sometimes a disservice to someone trying to learn it and trying to pick up books in a second language. However, images and image support is something that I do really recommend to people who are starting their reading journey in their chosen second language. In French specifically, there's this huge community and this huge love of graphic storytelling. Graphic as in graphic novels, not as in something a little bit more adult, but pretty much any kind of story that you would like to read can be found in a graphic novel kind of situation. So you will have the images that help you understand the story and help you understand the vocab and the verb tenses, and it really just supports you through your language acquisition and through your reading. So graphic novels are a huge recommendation from my part if you have access to them. I also would recommend graphic novels over picture books because the stories can be more complex that way, and that can be more interesting if you're an adult learner. Another thing that can kind of bridge the gap between easy readers, image-based things, and those novels that you might be trying to like get to are teen novels. YA is, I think, more of a well-known category and a well-read category in English than it is in some other languages. I know for French it is starting to become more of an accepted form of reading, and as a result there's all of these amazing novels being published, and they're really fun to read and usually a little bit more accessible than kind of the classics that you might be thinking of, like, oh well, I have to be able to read Balzac or Voltaire or other kind of names that might pop to mind. This can be a great way to ease your way in as well, or at least bridge the gap once you feel a little bit more comfortable in the language. Once you are feeling pretty confident in your language level, there are a lot of great resources for those classics and for older novels, the ones that are outside of the copyright laws. You can find a lot of them on Amazon even for free. But beyond just those kind of classics, and even before you get to that point where you're looking for full novels, there are so many resources online for picture books, for audiobooks, for even easy readers you can find for free and either on the open web or part of your public library's offerings. I think that could be its own full video, especially since I'm trying to rush through everything that I want to say. So if that is something that you would like to see, specifically for French because that is my area of expertise, please let me know in the comments below, and I'll whip together another video about my favorite sites to recommend for like at-home library users. Like if you don't want to come into the space or if you don't have the time or anything like that, like there are so many options that can help you from the comfort of your own home that are really interesting to read as well. It's a babbly way of just asking you to leave me a comment. To boil it down to the most simple, my advice is know your level. You can get tested for your level of language at a lot of different kind of like language specific schools. I know that the Alliance Française across the United States and around the world will help you discover your level. There's oftentimes an online test. That is a great way to do that for French. There are other kind of language-specific institutions. There's one in Boston for the Goethe Institute for German. There's a million for Spanish, a million for English. There are a bunch of different options, and whatever language is specific to what you're looking for, I would Google that on your end. Know your level, know what you like, because that will be really helpful to making you want to read beyond just kind of the instinct to get better in your language. Wanting to read is really important, so know what you want, know your level, know what you like to read. Don't be afraid to try readings that aren't just those big old classic novels. Like, don't be afraid to try easy readers. Don't be afraid to try picture books. I recommend the more complex ones. Don't be afraid to try graphic novels, audiobooks. podcasts are a great resource, even though they're not technically books, but you know. And I guess finally, go to your public library and see a friendly neighborhood librarian can help you find resources either in the library itself or on this great tool that we have called the internet. And I'm happy to be your friendly neighborhood librarian if that is something that you need help with. Again, my expertise is pretty specific to the French language, but I'm happy to try and help you find resources in another language. Leave me a comment down below. I think my email is somewhere on this channel if that is something that you would be interested in as well, if you don't want to leave a comment publicly. And I think that's all that I have in mind for today. I hope that this was helpful. If it was, please be sure to let me know either by, again, leaving a comment or hitting the subscribe button. You can also find me over on Instagram at Random Librarians, where I post a lot of fun, I think they're fun, fun images and kind of thoughts about the books that I'm reading or just random things. I am a random librarian and that I'm a librarian, and you just kind of found me through the Russian roulette that is YouTube, but I am also a librarian who is random and off her rocker, so it works in both ways. I never know how to end these things, but thank you so much for watching. I hope you'll come back for another video or go and find other librarian-specific things or book-specific things. I'm doing my best to do the booktube thing, and I think it's pretty fun, but it's also just me talking to my camera in my room, so what can you do? Yeah, I'm just gonna say bye.